we've made it. 500 subscribers. What a milestone, eh? Channel's not even a year old. I set it up in February last year, I think, and we're in mid-January, so in less than a year we've already got halfway to 1,000. So in honour of this historic moment on the Car Traction channel, today I will be telling you a bit about what I do with my spare time and my hobbies. And I just want to say a massive thank you to anybody who's been watching my videos, liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that. Just a huge thank you for supporting me on YouTube. Surprisingly, this isn't actually my whole collection. I've got loads more upstairs in my bedroom, but I've just picked out some of my favourites to show you in this video. Starting off with this lovely Schuco Ferrari. This is the oldest of my Schucos. It's a German tin plate toy manufacturer, made all sorts. I believe this is modelled on a Ferrari, but you can see it says Schuco patent if it'll focus on the front. Now, I've never seen one with that sticker, especially an old one, so this is actually quite a rare toy because it's an old Schuco. Like this one here is a newer example but built in the old style, but this is a proper old example, 1959, because the person I bought it from said that he was given it as a present in 1959, so we've absolutely nailed the date there. But it really is actually quite rare being in this condition and being of that age. They were made pre-war, but those are really rare. Then you got the just post-war ones, 40s, 50s, which are still really quite rare. Then you've got the later ones, such as this other example of the Schuco Ferrari, much newer. It's actually got its mirrors. This one's missing its mirrors, but I don't really mind, which is probably dating from 2000s, but it's built in the old style. The only difference really, apart from it being shiny, is its plastic grille, but they're all built to the same design, really high quality toys. This one's rare still. They're still quite sought after, even the modern Schuco racing cars, but perhaps not as much as that one, but it's still a very nice item. Speaking of old Schucos, here we have a Schuco 3000 in very nice condition, not modelled on a specific car. Really very handsome toy. Now, I believe it's actually a very clever toy. So you see that little slat on the windscreen there, get the camera to focus there. There are little numbers there where you can set speed. So it's got the hole in the top where you'd put your key. Sadly, this one doesn't actually have a key. Then you can slide that across for different speeds, and I think you can steer it as well. There you go, it's got an extra wheel there. Lovely writing as well on the bottom. Schuco 3000. Continuing with the Schuco theme, we have a Schuco Mercedes pre-war Grand Prix car. Modelled on a pre-war. This is probably 80s, but still a very nice toy. Really high quality. Still work. I'm not so sure about this yellow Ferrari, but that definitely still works, and this definitely still works. So it's great fun to sometimes run them up a bit. I think this is modelled on the Mercedes W125. I'm not very good on my pre-war Mercs, but lovely looking toy, isn't it? You can get old one of these, but they tend to get more sort of over £100. I think I bought this for about 60, which is pretty cheap. But yeah, that displays really well. Now, the first of our Dinkies is this Guy van. These are actually quite sought after. The Guys are pretty rare. This is probably the most common of the rare examples. The Ever Ready batteries for life on the side there, but it's really lovely toy. One thing I do like to do is I leave the price stickers where I bought them from antique centres on the bottom, so I can remind myself just how cheap I got them for. So this is 20. I'm sure I negotiated. I can't remember the price I ended up buying it for, but it's probably worth more, 35, 40. I do love a good haggle. It displays very nicely. Perhaps not so much that side. The sticker's got a bit weird on that side. It's got working doors. Those haven't snapped off or anything. Everything's still pretty much together. Back to the Dinky commercial vehicles. We have this Shell tanker modelled on an AEC Monarch. See from the front, hopefully. There you go. Another very nice Dinky toy. And behind that we have a very tasty tin plate Mercedes. Now, is this a Schuco? I'm not really sure actually. I feel as though I should remember this was actually a present. Everything here is in my collection. That is really, really nice. Modelled on the W196 Mercedes, which we actually saw at Goodwood Revival this year. So after watching this video, please check out my paddock action and racing track action to see the W196, which was driven by Fangio, unrestored in the 1955 Aintree Grand Prix. But back to the toys. It's got a slight dent, but that is probably really rare in that condition. I think it would have had a front grille, but there's nothing there. I regularly search up for tin plate toys like this, and I haven't really seen anything like that on eBay or anywhere since, so it must be pretty rare. The elephant in the room is obviously this lovely mosquito. Now, I have been building Airfix and Revel model kits for years now, and I really enjoyed the therapeutic gluing them together, especially gluing the glass is a very tricky thing to do, but since making some of these I've bought a special glue that means that the glass doesn't cloud up, so that's why that's pretty clean. Then you paint them. I think I put 3 layers on this one, and then you soak the decals off the sheet and put them onto the plane. But yeah, isn't that just a lovely example? I believe my great-grandfather flew the mosquitoes in World War II, which is very interesting. This is actually the bomber example because it's got the glass front there, but I believe he would have flown the more fighter type plane, which just had some cannons on the front. Same design, but just a little bit different at the front, and obviously for different purposes. But doesn't that look lovely? Another early addition to my toy collection is this Comma pickup truck, Dinky Service. It's very nice, isn't it? It displays really well with another car being towed on it. Another Dinky of the same size, roughly. It's modelled on a Comma. As you can see from the front, very distinctive front. I've wedged it under my transporter. Then we have these 2 cars. Now, these aren't actually Dinkies. These are Crescents. Pretty sure these are pre-war. I think they look as though they're modelled on a Jaguar, but I've never seen any other ones apart from these 2. So they must be pretty rare. Sought after, probably not, but I'll just move them more into shot. Probably not that sought after, but they're really rare because I've only ever seen those 2. Dad has been collecting for years and years and years, even more than I have, obviously, and he's never come across any of those, so must be pretty rare. Next up, we have, we'll just get those out of the way, we have a Foden flatbed truck now with a Daimler in the back, I think. That's also Dinky. So you got the Dinky of the smaller type, and then you got the Super Toys Foden. Displays very well. I usually put that in the back or put something else in the back, because if you've got a pickup or anything, you might as well use the space, because it's very crammed in my room. Just because I got so much stuff I've been collecting for years and years now. Move that to the side as well, because something else that also displays very well with other Dinky toys is this Dinky transporter modelled on a Bedford, as you can see at the front there. Displays really well with other Dinky road cars that would have been common sights on the roads of the 1950s and 60s. Bought it for about 25, it's probably worth about 30. There are better examples, but then again there are worse examples. Some of them would have had an extension ramp that went off the end there, but I've never really bothered to buy that because it doesn't really add much and I don't have the space for that. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Moving on to some of my Triang tinplate toys, we have this very little handsome Triang tinplate truck. It does actually work. The motor is still working well. It's front wheel drive actually. Got the little Dinky van, the loudspeaker van. It's pretty common, that van, but this pickup is It's, I wouldn't say it's rare, but I would say it's common either, probably about £30–40. It's really lovely condition, it's pretty much mint, so it displays really well. The same can be said for my most recent buy, actually, which is this articulated truck. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but does the front maybe look a bit like a comma? I'm not sure, but you got the lovely sticker on the side there, the doors at the back open, and that works, but it tends to spin its wheels a bit, so it's not the quickest of all my wind-up toys. Just behind that, we have the Dinky Super Toys Foden, boxed. Now, it isn't actually its original box. I bought the Foden on its own, and then I saw a box for the very same type, so I thought those would go very well together, so there you go. Right, so those were the highlights of my toy collection. You could argue that the Mozzie isn't, but I decided to put it there anyway because it looks really nice. Primarily Dinky. I've got loads more upstairs, but they'd never be able to fit on this table, and also made the video like 50 minutes long. So these are just the highlights. Another thing that I collect a lot is my tools and automobilia outside, which won't appear in this video, but perhaps in the next week or so, or 2 weeks, I'll be doing a full shed tour. So please check out the channel homepage to see when that video is uploaded.